nevertheless, my point is that that little stuff will eventually blossom. The seeds that are put into our hearts about, oh, occult, I'm kind of really interested in the occult, will eventually open up doorways that will open up more doorways, and then that's when stuff like voices in the head starts, and that's when like they're telling you to kill yourself, and this kind of stuff is a freight train that just needs a little bit of door open to the demonic realm. If you're opening big doors like occult doors, you were doing relatively, I mean, not bad stuff. But if somebody is doing occult stuff that is genuinely wanting to seek that realm, that's a really rapid train that moves. Like I said, it goes from sleep paralysis to voices in the head, very quickly. Full on demonic possession starts really quickly with the suicidal thoughts and the suicidal tendencies. It's dangerous. It's people are dying because of demonic possession every day, and we're calling it depression, and we're giving them medication which furthers it.
Yep.
This is an epidemic of evil that is now, people are getting what I kind of look at as porous. That means that they're filled with holes now within their consciences because they've done little things and done this here and done the Ouija board there and read this there or whatever, and we're just sort of open. And I think that we're all in danger of being too porous, because I think that some of the technology that's being worked on is just something that would recreate Babel, that would open up doors for them. Something that they're working on has something to do with that, a huge release of demonic power. And we're going into just times unprecedented for that reason. The New World Order is not the least of our worries. We have something far more sinister to deal with that we are not equipped to deal with. From the sleep paralysis thing, that Jesus Christ makes these things run from the hills. It turns this snarling, evil thing into a whimpering coward with the authority of Christ. It's a total game over situation. And for people that are wondering about that, that's what got me interested in this whole Jesus thing in the first place. Why in the world are all these things so scared of him? What authority does he have? And that is what really started my journey to going. I found out, all power had been given to him. I mean, this was something that cosmically unprecedented. That it really, I won't preach to you, but there is something very significant with the person of Jesus Christ, the Jesus Christ of the Bible. There is, if you read that, it's like there's no way somebody could have made this character up. They ask questions of Jesus in the Bible, and he answers them like nobody could have even conceived an answer like that. Buddha would have never answered a question like that. Krishna would never answer a question like that. If somebody created him as a character, that person, I would say, deserves to be worshipped. I mean, that sounds crazy, but what
No,
I'm
I know
trying to
what you
say
mean.
is if somebody could, a philosophy that somebody made up like that, it's impossible. It's so profound. It's so revolutionary. It stops the mouth of every religious person in the history of the world. Jesus was the most anti-religious person that ever walked the face of the earth. Though he only said a negative thing to like the clergy of his day and to bankers.
Yep.
And this person was an absolute revolutionary. And what he said and what he did, the claims he made of himself and the authority that he was able to give to us is ridiculous. And obviously that the authority rings true, and that it does in fact work, and that all of hell trembles at his name.
Yep. And a few things I wanted when I started really looking at Christianity, because I mean, like I said, I've come a long ways from being. I was raised Mormon, then went to just strict agnostic slash atheist to, I'm kind of now I call myself a theist. I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. But one thing that really made me looking into Christianity is, okay, so I know about the New World Order, Illuminati, and I know they hate Christianity, and I know they attack it from every angle constantly. They attack the family, they attack the church. They're always harassing like Christian homeschoolers. I mean, and then obviously on a much grander scale with the stuff they promote in the movies and the decadence and just the decline, this total social, intellectual, spiritual, religious decline that we're seeing in America and the whole world. So you have that. You also have the fact that that are exposing them, like Bill Cooper, and then many other Christian New World Order Illuminati researchers either being imprisoned or killed. That in itself is very, that should ring a few bells in some people's heads. And then this is something only I personally can attest to, but I know this thing with the sleep paralysis, man. When I saw your your documentary and the website, and I was like, yeah, it really rang. You know, I could really sense it. I'm like, I need to do this next time this happens. And then, just for me personally, bam, it worked right there. So yeah.
One other thing to validate it in terms of the New World Order perspective is that the reason why the anti-Christianity is needed and necessary to this New World Order system is because if you understand kind of what I alluded to before, the mind control system where they through trauma create different alters that then can be trained and demonized, given triggers, put back down and called back up with those triggers, that essentially has become the backbone of the New World Order movement. It's the Manchurian candidate, the plausible deniability. I wouldn't doubt if most of our presidents have been multiples. I don't know that for a fact, but I would say that there's certainly multiples around them, multiples running things. They are sort of the centerpiece to the New World Order. The assassins, the Virginia Tech, and you look into that in terms of it
Oh,
being
yep.
DID and MPD. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to tell you is that there is that system, that infrastructure is only vulnerable to one system. The altars that may be demonized. I've interviewed a man named Robert Duncan O'Finian, who was a assassin and a multiple assassin, and he like the Virginia Tech person, I believe, were without going into too much detail. Essentially, what happens is they create an alter that's totally human, if you will, a split, dissociated personality that's given, love and saying, hey, we created you, and we're going to call you back up and teach you how to, do military stuff and how to shoot guns, blah 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 blah. But then they're taken to satanic rituals, and this is why. This is why the psychiatric community is totally at a loss. Everybody that has MPD also has SRA, which means satanic ritual abuse. That's kids talking about, hey, I was in this place where people were wearing masks and they
Oh,
sexually
wow.
abused me and everything. Satanic ritual abuse and DID, dissociative identity disorder, are inseparable. They actually have foundations created, like for instance, the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, to call out these kids that are having these, telling their parents about, yeah, I've been having these things. I was forced to kill my friend and whatever. They're to call those kids liars and to say that that's just a epidemic that has come up that's not true. But there's something like 5 million of these people that are in psych wards all across and these are people whose programs are breaking down. Um, anyway, all that to say that the authority of Christ, if you is in, well, I didn't finish what I was saying. The the assassins, for instance, are trained, but then taken to the satanic sites where that particular personality is demonized and given power. So it's no longer just an assassin that's been trained and is able to call up at will a phone call or a tone or whatever that triggers the individual and gives it an assignment. It's no longer just that, but it's also empowered supernaturally with demonic power, where the Virginia Tech guy had 60% kill rate and nobody ever thought he picked up a gun before. He shot people 3 times each person with a 22
Yep.
and basically took the school down. It's unprecedented for like a Navy SEAL, let alone some chump, you know. Uh, but anyway, this is the kind of thing that we're up against, and that what Russ Dizdar and others that works with these people calls that we're in for something they call the Black Awakening, where they will all be triggered at one point, and they believe, the Satanists believe, that they will usher in the New World Order and the Antichrist system with this Black Awakening. But nevertheless, that system is only vulnerable to Christ. The only thing that can stop them is the authority that even most Christians that are saved and that Jesus has given them this authority, they don't even know it. You know, that nothing in their church is even telling them that demons are real, let alone that they have the authority over them. It really comes back from like the whole Catholic thing where they believe that, you know, only the priests have this authority and, you know, the lay people just, you shouldn't even mess with it. But that's not even close to what Jesus was teaching. Jesus gave it to everybody. He said, you're going to be able not only to do this, but do even, you know, greater things. So anyway, that's the biggest secret really, is that there is an authority that has the power to stop the very core of the New World Order. It's the person and the authority of Jesus Christ, and that's why they hate him so much.
Hmm.
And it's a very tangible reason why the New World Order must destroy everything about him.
Yeah, and just real quick, I need to write this down to further study this before I forget. We did a show totally attacking psychiatry and saying it's just a pseudoscience that is put there to just keep you numb and dumb and docile and basically attack your soul ultimately.
which
Huh.
furthers it.
Yep.
This is an epidemic of evil that is now, people are getting what I kind of look at as porous. That means that they're filled with holes now within their consciences because they've done little things and done this here and done the Ouija board there and read this there or whatever, and we're just sort of open. It moves. Like I said, it goes from sleep paralysis to voices in the head, very quickly. Full on demonic possession starts really quickly with the suicidal thoughts and the suicidal tendencies. It's dangerous. It's people are dying because of demonic possession every day, and we're calling it depression, and we're giving him medication. And I think that we're all in danger of being too porous, because I think that some of the technology that's being worked on is just something that would recreate Babel, that would open up doors for them. Something that they're working on has something to do with that. A huge release of, nevertheless, my point is that that little stuff will eventually blossom. The seeds that are put into our hearts about, oh, occult, I'm kind of really interested in the occult, will eventually open up doorways that will open up more doorways. And then that's when stuff like voices in the head starts. And that's when like they're telling you to kill yourself. And this kind of stuff is a freight train that just needs a little bit of door open to the demonic realm. If you're opening big doors like occult doors, you were doing relatively, I mean, not bad stuff. But if somebody is doing occult stuff that is genuinely wanting to seek that realm, that's a really rapid train that